Hey everyone, welcome to part 2 of the post-analysis Super Nintendo World discussion. This time, Andre, Josh, and Don will be giving their thoughts on the other possible rides that could appear at Universal Studios Japan. So let's just get right to it.
Okay, well speaking of going off rails, let's go ahead and move on to the Mario Kart ride. Because that's something, there also seemed to be a patent for that. Again, these patents weren't incredibly specific, but it seems obvious what they're designed with in mind. The one for Mario Kart, or what we're guessing is Mario Kart, showed a literal cart. So, and that patent seemed to indicate is going to be a track-based ride where you have at least 2 people in the cart, one driving, one gunning, it seems. Like they have control of some aspects of the vehicle, including the fact that, going by the patent, they can cause the vehicle to enter like a power slide. So you can actually swing, like you can fishtail and swing that back end around corners. So I want to talk a little bit more in depth about how you guys think that might work, because Mario Kart is such an interesting idea in that Mario Kart is one of Nintendo's top properties, and of course, driving it is a big, that's the main thing with it. Like you're driving a kart. So I'm wondering though is, how is that going to tie into a theme park ride where you're presumably on the track? Because, theme parks typically have some kind of story that goes with them, or, so something goes wrong typically, and you have to find some way to get out of, you have to fix what went wrong. Like, do you have any ideas for how you envision this ride working as a theme park attraction?
It's the most difficult
one
to pull off.
Yeah.
Because they've talked about in the patent how you can mess with other racers, right? So that to me says, okay, this can't be some sort of purely simulator ride, because how would you represent all of these racers in a pre-rendered simulator ride?
Right.
No, you definitely can't do that now.
This is one of the things that I think they could do. I think this will be a ride that has a lot of physical things surrounding you. Mm-hmm. And I think there will be a track, but I think you'll have certain opportunities to change where you are on that track and how fast you're going and stuff like that.
Right. Well, I guess to bring up another point of the patent, this is a part that's a lot more confusing. So anything beyond this point is my conjecture and speculation. But One of the images, which unfortunately I can't find now, it seems like they pulled them offline. And no other story, as far as I can tell, reposted these specific images. But one of the images showed 3 carts arranged in a circle around some kind of central apparatus connected to it via rods. So my impression of that is almost like that central apparatus is a thing that's connected to the track itself, and the 3 other cars orbit around it. So what I'm thinking is maybe you race through this track as a group of 3s, basically, and you're all racing against each other locally. So I'm thinking maybe that central apparatus rotates to show who's in first, who's in second, and who's in third, because as far as I can think, you can show any combination of those 3 positions just by rotating that apparatus, giving the impression while you're racing on the track of you guys switching positions in real time. So maybe you're fighting those 2 other people and like you're gunning against them. So, like if you shoot a Koopa shell, which again, something else we have to explore how they would do that, but like if you shoot someone else racing against you, they drop in position behind you with the thing rotating, and presumably that whole apparatus would be underground, so you don't see it. So it looks like all 3 of you are racing dynamically around the track, even though you're all kind of connected. Does that make sense? Does that work? Do you think that could work?
It could. It sounds complicated in theory, but it could definitely work.
I mean, it definitely sounds complicated in theory, but that's why it's exciting. Like, if they can give the illusion of you having this dynamic race with people around you without it being a simulator, that could be incredible. And it possibly to those rods, maybe, I mean, again, I don't think this is in the patent, but if those rods can go in and out, like extend further and back, like that could only further add to the illusion of you like falling behind or catching up. So maybe like the better you like power slide around those corners, the more you can catch up, and especially once you add items into it, for instance.
Interestingly, like the front wheels in the patents look fixed, so I'm not sure how much they will determine how a person is first and how a person will be last.
There will probably definitely be a predetermined amount of space that you can fall behind and get ahead.
That's what I'm thinking too, exactly. Because you can't just dick around the whole time and go. I mean, they couldn't have it where you can just go backwards if you wanted to the whole time.
Lakitu comes out and, no, turn around.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I think that.
But there need to be like elements in place to ensure like, okay, now you're first, performing certain tasks, and that will be the tricky part to handle in this case.
I mean, that's why I think that patent might kind of reveal how that works to some degree, like, where you all travel as packs down the track, but you all orbit locally around each other, dictating your local positions, one first, second, or third. So that's I don't know, I think it's really interesting, but it also makes me wonder is how our power-ups can play into this.
So I have a theory about that. So you can see that the power-ups are clearly going to be triggered by the person in the back.
Right.
And I would say there's no way, let's be honest, there's no way they can have some sort of physical items being thrown in front of you. They're not going to do that.
Right.
And somebody's like holograms. Listen, it's the year 2017,
Right.
not 2070. Like holograms are not going to happen.
No.
Those are really expensive. It's just not going to work. So I think even if it might seem kind of like a letdown, I think there will be a digital touch screen on the back, like a touchscreen panel on the back, which will show you an item that you somehow obtain, and when you touch it, you will use it, and it'll just affect the other carts around you. I don't think I don't think they're going to try to simulate a shell being thrown.
Do you think they might be able to do maybe projections though on the ground, maybe where you can at least see? I mean, I guess the problem with that then is like you're looking at what's obviously a flat turtle shell traveling along the ground. Although maybe, I don't know, if you wore 3D glasses, would that be able to offer a more convincing level of depth to it, perhaps?
That's the trick. Like, a Mario Kart attraction is the first thing you go to, but it's the most difficult thing to pull off.
It's weird, isn't it?
The only way to pull it off accurately would be to literally just make a 3D video game that surrounds you, and you literally control a Mario character model in front of you.
Yeah.
But this does not seem to be the direction, because we've got this patent which shows that you are in a vehicle and you're not, playing a video game.
The only other idea I have is... Okay, so it rides at like a Test Track and Cars Land. You sit behind a windshield. Do you think maybe if they had a windshield here, they could put some kind of like it could function like a screen where that projects the images?
My only thought is the way to pull it off would be to just have it like a touchscreen panel on the back, and that's how you use the items.
Yeah.
I mean, it is kind of represented in that artwork. I mean, it does seem
Yeah,
like
there
the
is
second
something
person
on
has
there.
something, yeah.
So, okay, another question. So far we're treating this as if it were literally a Mario Kart, like Mario Kart brought to life.
Mm-hmm.
But again, theme park, I mean, and maybe that's what they're doing. But theme park attractions usually have like a story or have, characters you see. How are they going to tie those into this? Like, if you're racing, how are they going to tie in those other elements potentially, or would those elements even play a factor? Is it just going to be a race, or is there more to it?
Yeah, obviously Mario Kart has a lot of personality and a lot of characters,
yeah.
And unless they're going to make us dress up like Wario, it would be like there's no Mario characters in this Mario Kart race.
Right.
I think I've said this before, I can see them having like animatronics and screens on the sidelines that show the characters driving by you and stuff.
That could be. I just feel like...
I'll be the first one to tell you, I have no idea how they're going to pull this off.
I
I just want to sit back and watch them do it.
Right? I can't wait for them to start giving us some idea what to expect from these rides. Because Mario Kart, like Donkey Kong, is pretty easy to piece together. I mean, I think,
sure, absolutely.
I don't think there's much it can do. Oh, I mean, I don't mean this in an offensive way. I don't think that there's much it can do that would totally surprise us there. I mean that, I don't mean that to be disparaging. That's not a bad thing. Mario Kart, anything they do will surprise me here, I think. So
there's a few items that they could do though. Like I said, one of the things Universal seems to do in every single ride they make is squirt you with water for some reason. Mm-hmm. So maybe one of the power-ups can activate some little thing in the front dashboard that shoots water on the passenger and the driver. Mm-hmm. A turtle shell could spin the cart around. Mushroom boost obviously makes you go faster.
Well, it goes kind of against the pattern that they're showing here, because your front wheels don't exactly move. So you won't exactly
No,
spin.
but the whole thing, I think, underneath is connected to something, so they could potentially spin the whole cart.
Hopefully, yeah. That will be a nice touch, though. It will be hard to tell if they're gonna do that, because it doesn't necessarily is showcased here.
See, to me, that's the whole thing they should focus on in the Mario Kart thing, other than the race aspect, is just what kind of silly things can happen with items. What can the items do to your race experience?
Because I'm looking at the full pattern, and it seems like it only goes to the extent of the power drift, how far it moves. So it's really hard to tell if they're actually going to do that or not.
And then there's the whole question of how do you even acquire items, because in the games you literally drive through question blocks, and I don't think that's going to work here.
Just with some question mark panels on the ground, it will be all good.
Well, that's what they did in the original Super Mario Kart, right? So they could go back to that. Oh, well, here we go. Like the fog effects they have on Indiana Jones, you see the rats going across, or even on Pirates of the Caribbean, where they project a face onto it. Maybe they could do it that way. You drive through this fog of where the question blocks are projected onto. I don't know.
Oh.
But again, that'd be a dark ride though, and I don't think this would be. Like, I'm expecting, like, a very bright environment. Although, if it's a Bowser's Castle, maybe it's not. Maybe it is a really dark ride.
My theory is there's actually going to be multiple Mario Kart themed tracks that we race through. Like, it'll be like a cup of going, like, you'll kind of go through a warp pipe and then come out another track.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, I would expect there to be, like, a few different environments to go through. Like, if you start Peach's Castle, maybe you end up at Bowser's Castle, and...
Well, no, you end at Rainbow Road.
Oh, yeah, of course. How could I mess up? Right. Oh, man, can you imagine driving off that track? Jesus. Alright guys, any final thoughts about Mario Kart before we move on to the final ride?
I hate talking about it because it's so confusing.
It is! I want to see how this works! Like,
yeah.
I really just hope, like, I think this attraction specifically has the greatest potential to be the most impressive or the most disappointing. Like, I can see it going both ways.
There's some absolutely great potential there, but I think the mechanics they're showing in the pattern makes it even more confusing what exactly they're gonna do. Because the amount of space you move seems limited in the ride, while Mario Kart is all about moving around and positioning yourself.
That's the thing, and by its very nature being a theme park ride, like, they have to have some way of pushing you along. Which is why I think it makes sense where, like, no matter what, you're all traveling together as a group of 3, but the better you handle those turns, the more you'll catch up to the other 2 people, right? So... Alright, so let's go and talk about the final ride, which we've already kind of touched on a lot before, so I don't know how much more there is to say. But, again, there was a rumored Yoshi ride before any of this concept art came out, and I think it's pretty clear that is what that mountain is disguising, that there's Yoshis all over it. And the whole theme of the mountain, by the way, seems to be based around Super Mario 3D World. Those bricks, specifically, are ripped right from the game, with the pattern on them, and then the ground as well looks similar. So, what I'm picturing is, like, you know, the obvious thing to me is you ride a Yoshi through 3D World themed environments, and this would be, like, if Mario Kart doesn't have a real story to go with it, this would be the one that has, like, a story, or at least, you know, a more typical story-like attraction. Or, you know, like a typical dark ride. You go through show scenes to see different characters interacting in different ways. Maybe you have to, you know, ride Yoshi to go rescue Peach or something. Who knows?
So, one of the things that I have written here, because I prepared notes
you did.
this,
Oh, okay.
is,
I like that.
I have 2 potential ways that this ride could play out. The way that you just described, like in a dark ride thing, although I did say the Yoshis could be all herded together like the bikes on E.T. Adventure.
Right.
Because obviously, you know, you want to try and get as many people through a ride as possible. You want to have, like, the capacity to be pretty high.
Right.
So, yeah, it could be like Yoshi's all kind of tied together and you get on their backs and you ride through it. But the other route that I think they could take is to basically just do a Toy Story Mania kind of setup where you ride around on a Yoshi and you press a button or something and his tongue digitally eats things on 3D screens.
Yeah.
Oh.
So the whole theme is just Yoshi. You got to try to see how many points you can get by eating as many things on your Yoshi.
That would be really fun, I think, actually.
That sounds really cool.
The bonus to that is you can put real set pieces in between the transitions of the screens.
You're right. You totally could. So they could even take it a step farther than Midway Mania did, the Toy Story ride.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Almost
definitely.
like a combination of Midway Mania and the Buzz Lightyear version of that basically same ride. Like they're both shooting rides. So
Yeah, totally.
I love the idea, especially too, the fact that Yoshi also has eggs. So you could throw eggs at the enemies as well.
Yeah, and maybe that's even something you obtain after you eat 5 enemies. Like, if you eat 5 enemies, you get 1 egg to throw or something like that.
Right.
And so I think that'd be great for many reasons, one of which being you could go on that ride again and again because you want to try to beat your old score,
Yeah.
and it's, like, different every time you ride it.
The only downside for me, though, is then you don't have that classic Disney-style dark ride here. As far as we know, unless Mario Kart's that.
I assume Mario Kart and Donkey Kong are kind of that.
Again, I guess to the question of what the hell is Mario Kart? Like, if it's is that going to have like a dark ride? Is that more of a dark ride than is like an interactive experience where you're racing? Or
We should stop
I'd say-
talking about Mario Kart. It's just becoming too confusing.
I know.
So I think if you're talking, Andre, about like what's the classic dark ride, I think it's
I think you need like a classic Mario dark ride at the least too. Like, I don't think Donkey Kong cuts it for Mario.
I think that's probably going to be Mario Kart based on the patent. I think you literally will see a bunch of Mario trees and blocks and bushes.
Oh
in
yeah,
real life.
no, you will for sure. You will for sure. But like you want actual interaction with Mario. Like you want to at least see Mario like in a way that you're
Oh,
not.
I think you will.
But if you're driving a cart, you're gonna be distracted.
Well, you're not literally driving it; it's on a track.
But you're gonna be focused on driving like the corner, presumably, right? Like
I think that I can picture the Mario characters on their own carts, like on the sidelines, like pulling in front of you at times or something like that. They could potentially do that.
maybe, yeah, I don't know. So I like your Yoshi idea, but I'm leaning toward it still being more of a classical dark ride, like
I'd be fine with that.
like an easy like ET basically, as you mentioned, like a slow going Yoshi ride. And one thing I hope they incorporate, I think I mentioned it before even, like a big part of the Mario games is jumping, of course. And if you're riding a Yoshi, this is the perfect time to introduce that element with Yoshi jumping. Like, it'd be cool if they use an apparatus that lets Yoshi go up, like, to a second story or something. Like, slowly bobbing up and down, maybe even having his flutter jump incorporated into it. Although, I mean, it'd be cool to tie that into your idea too, Josh. What if you can manually make Yoshi jump in that shooting game or eating game, and, like, you can get a higher elevation to get harder to reach targets or something.
The weird thing is, I think the Mario Kart attraction might be my least favorite.
Really?
When I finally ride it. I don't know, I feel like maybe it's just because I can't figure that out. The Yoshi ride and the Donkey Kong minecart, I can totally get what those might offer.
Yeah.
With Mario Kart, I feel like that might be the one where I end up being disappointed. I don't know. Because it's such a hard thing to pull off properly. I think that's why. And maybe it's unfair of me to say I could be disappointed because we don't really know anything, but I just think the bar is set so high for that for me, and it's such a difficult thing to pull off in real life because it's so like focused on items and stuff that I just don't know how they're going to do it.
Well, Mario Kart in particular has a really set of iconic elements, and if you remove those, then it isn't exactly Mario Kart anymore.
I think it's because I'm just baffled about Mario Kart. I'm the most probably the most excited for it. Either that or Donkey Kong. Just because I want to see how they pull it off. If they pull it off, it could be something else. I would actually say the Yoshi ride is potentially my least, the one I'm least excited about. Again, this is based on almost literally nothing, because we have no idea of how any of these rides are going to work, except for maybe Donkey Kong. That's the one we have the best idea of. Although, again, it seems like Donkey Kong may not even be here at first, at least in Japan, because there's no obvious, there's no definitive signs of it, unless that Desert Mario
There's a big
area.
temple.
Sorry, well, I mean, that could be it. But again, it seems like based on what I saw, it seems to be more Mario themed than anything.
I still think it's curious it's called Super Nintendo World where there's nothing of Nintendo here.
Yeah, right? That's really weird.
We would really hope that in the future, like, at some point, like, they would incorporate, like, franchises that have a certain fan base in their respective regions. Like, if we would go by regions, I would expect that at some point in Super Nintendo World in Japan, it would be something Splatoon or Animal Crossing related in this thing.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that there will be certain elements to Super Nintendo World that differ based on each park. I really, really believe that. I think in some cases it might be something drastic. I think Orlando might even have a ride that is not anywhere else, simply because they have more land and they have more tourists in Orlando. So they have more reason to build that up as being the ultimate experience. And that's something the rumors that I've been hearing a lot about are suggesting as well, that they're looking at the Orlando version as being like the ultimate version of it. So, I mean, I definitely agree that I think that we will never see anything Fire Emblem related at all in the American parks. However, in the Japanese park, I can see them maybe having some sort of like special show for Fire Emblem like they do with One Piece and stuff. They do like anime stuff in Universal Japan. So I can see them maybe...
Fire Emblem, that's a bit more difficult because that's a strategy game, so I don't really feel that that's really well suited for that.
Well, I don't think they're going to make a attraction. I think that they'll maybe have character meet and greets or like some sort of a show related to something that's maybe a little
Because here's the thing, in Universal Japan they have a Monster Hunter the Real experience.
Right, yeah.
Which, from the looks of it, looks really cool because they have these like really well-crafted versions of the monsters. I feel that they could do something similar with Nintendo characters.
Yeah, and I think that's the type of thing that I don't think they keep permanently. I think that's like not of, you know what I mean? Like, don't they take that away? Sometimes they change that up into something else.
Yeah, and I definitely think that Nintendo could be there at some point.
Could take advantage of that as well. Yeah, Universal Japan does have certain areas in their land that they do change up every year or so. So maybe they could do special Nintendo-related things with that extra land as well. Not a ride, but a show or a character meet and greet, or just big statues of some sort of characters.
There are so many directions they could take anything in this park, but this is something we've never seen. Like we've barely seen Mario outside the context of games.
It's very exciting.
Super exciting times. God, again, I just can't wait for this to open. I want to go here so freaking bad.
I think we have the entire land of the concept art already laid out in our heads.
I do think what we're seeing here, again, is like very representative of what's going to look like in Japan, and I think this actually might be mostly it.
I think the way they'll be like, oh yeah, no, we have other stuff, is they might have like, because they do have some extra shops they could convert to being Nintendo themed and whatnot. So I think there might be stuff like that. But I think that Japan will probably be the smallest version of this whole concept.
Yeah, either that or Hollywood. But apparently they are tearing down some of the sound stages in the lower lot, and it's rumored that maybe for Nintendo Land or Nintendo World. And
Andre, I sent you that image, didn't I, of where Nintendo World could go where Kid Zone is?
yes, you did, yeah.
They have like tons of space to the side of Kid Zone that they could use.
I love that. I love that.
It's a massive plot of land that they could potentially use there.
That is so exciting to me. Like, if the first wave or the first phase rather is Mario, cool. I want to see what's coming next too, though. Like, I want phase 2 of, we touched on before, Zelda or whatever else. I forget where I heard it. I heard ideas thrown around for a Pokemon Snap ride, which would be amazing. That'd be so freaking cool if there were a Pokemon Snap ride.
Wait, rumors or ideas?
No, sorry, not rumors, like just ideas. So.
Well, you heard that on a discussion here at Game Explain.
Oh, that explains it then. The game explains it.
I would love that. I wonder if the Pokemon Company would be on board.
That's the biggest question.
That's the thing, yeah.
But they have done already some theme park stuff in Japan, like on a much lower level. So, and I think they'd be stupid not to go with Nintendo on this. Why wouldn't you? It's freaking. This is a theme park. It can only help you.
Sometimes they can just be really weird with their brand, though.
They can be like no sound effects in Mario Maker for some reason. So
Yep.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Oh, can you imagine? Now now I kind of hope there is at the least some kind of Bowser, like either. Oh well, yeah. Okay, either a Mario Kart you go in the Bowser area, or if that is a Bowser restaurant. What I'm getting at is there's a very convoluted way of saying I want lava effects. I want lava pouring into Bowser's castle, right?
They could do that too, and imagine how cool that would look at night if it was like lit up.
That'd be amazing. Well, okay, that's a question. Is there any kind of like night show they could do? Like any kind of like Mario themed fireworks? Or well, you could have fireworks at the castle, I guess, but that's not a big viewing area, so maybe not.
I don't know about anything specifically related to night that's related to Mario, other than, like you said, fireworks, but I just think this whole area would just look very pretty by default at night because you'd see the castle lit up. I'd imagine that Bowser's gate lights up. I think his eyes are on fire, aren't they? There's like flames in his eyes or something.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Yeah. So that could be cool. They do need more stuff, though, to light this up at night properly. If you look, there's really not any lights. How is this land going to be lit up?
Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, that's the case for all the mountains. Like, you don't see the lights, but they're hidden there somewhere, right?
Oh, yeah, they'd probably be, like, underneath the tree, pointing up at the thwomp and stuff. By the way, did we talk about how that stuff would be very cool if it's actually moving in animatronics? Like, the thwomp going up and down, the coin spinning.
We did see kind of the coin spinning in that introduction video, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. So it's almost like we did see a part of that mountain in real life already.
Like, yeah, you're kind of right. Like, I hope that whole mountain is moving. I mean, not the mountain itself, literally, but...
Gee, that's ambitious. That's really ambitious.
But, like, I would love, like, if it literally looks like you're looking at a moving Mario land, right? Like, I mean, you can see, too, how... I mean, I can't say for sure, but you can almost see how it looks like the stuff is literally attached to the wall. So you can make it so, like, the thwomps are moving up and down by being attached to the wall.
Very easily. Yeah, incredibly easily. Yeah,
right, exactly. The Yoshis are actually my biggest concern, because... in my head, like, if they go totally cheap on this, they can make the Yoshis just, like, movable props. And that's what I don't want, though. Like, I want the Yoshis to feel like if there are even Yoshis there. The Yoshis may just be for the artwork, and that's probably actually why they're there. But, like, I hope, like, they're actually animated and not just static figures, Like, I don't want them just rocking back and forth. Mm-hmm. Same thing with, like, the Koopa Troopers or even the enemies. Like, I hope they make them look more believable than just moving props.
Probably gonna be disappointed.
I know, I probably will be.
Yeah. I think that the most we could ask for is that they're moving. They might just be still statues up on the mountain.
Yeah.
But those would get rained on.
They would be, that's true. Yeah.
I don't think that I don't know, like, they'd have to be... Yeah, Jurassic Park's clothes get wet. So they would have to be a different type of animatronic. They'd have to, like, definitely consider that since they're outdoors, but I think that's definitely doable.
Right.
I think, though, the most we'll get out of those is, like, the one that's sitting down will, like, maybe be rocking back and forth on its butt.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to get, like, really impressive movement out of those.
That's why I kind of hope maybe, like, the Yoshis aren't there at all on the outside. Like, I feel like it's more accepting for the enemies to be kind of, you know, more plain than the Yoshis. I feel like, I don't know, you want the Yoshis to emote, right? You don't want them to just be pretty static.
Well, you don't get a very close-up look at them. I mean, that's probably a 20-foot... You added it up one day.
I did.
I
remember what I said. Was it 40 feet, I think? 27 feet? 27 feet, I think?
So it's a pretty big difference between
yeah.
you close to those animatronics. So I don't know that you'd necessarily be like, oh, he's not blinking his eyes well enough.
Yep.
I mean, you and I might, because we're jerks, but we're gonna analyze that stuff.
One thing I'm excited about, too, and I'm sure we touched on it before, but whatever. That's not stopping us. Interactive elements. Like, those blocks... I want you to be able to walk up and punch them. I like for it to do the little coin noise, right? And whatever else. Like, I'm sure there's other stuff they can do here that would be interactive, too. Like the warp pipe. If you walk through it, make a warp pipe noise. Little stuff like that could really add to the immersion of this land.
I don't know if they'll want people punching the scenery. That might be something they want to avoid doing. You might be able to get a coin noise out of it, though, when you wave your arm by it, probably, like a motion sensor thing.
They can make the bottom of the blocks like a mesh type thing, so you actually can't punch them, and then they go up a little bit, then drop back down. Get the
You mean like a spongy type thing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That'd get real dirty.
Yeah, that's true.
See,
Actually, it would be pretty nasty.
You gotta think about these things.
It could be like a rubber type thing. It might be okay.
I think regardless of what's going to happen, I think Hunter is going to hop over those gates and run up to that block.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
And then it'll come in a newspaper. Video game analysis man, his theme park prop.
Explain this. Local man goes crazy riding on top of a thwomp.
I'm going to lose so much money at this place. That's all I know. I'm going to lose all the money buying everything.
I just look at this and I see myself broke.
Right?
Same.
I mean, that's actually perhaps one of the things Universal has to be most excited about, is Nintendo lends itself well to merchandise. I mean, they already have merchandise, and they could really go balls to the wall here with what they do.
I will be disappointed if a lot of the merchandise is just like pre-existing Nintendo stuff that's already sold in stores.
Yep, totally agree.
I'm going to tell you, the most of the stuff is going to be pre-existing Nintendo stuff already been sold in stores.
I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah, I do think there will be original stuff.
Yeah.
But I do think there probably will be some stuff just stocked in there to make it seem like they have more. That was one of my big disappointments with Kong. The King Kong ride has no gift shop, and the little stand they have outside of it is like just generic gorilla plushies that don't even have like the branding on it or anything.
Oh.
So I hope with Nintendo World, they really give us stuff that's like exclusive to the park, because that's what people want, right?
Is what they want, absolutely.
Sure,
That's what I want. Oh God, man, I am so hyped. So Josh, where's your hype at now? Like, now that you've had some time to sit on it, think about, like, it's been what, a little over a week now, or around a week since this came out. How are you feeling in general now about all this?
I'm at about a 9. I think I was at a 9.5 about a week ago.
Yeah.
The Mario Kart attraction, I've stopped trying to make sense of, because I have spent time like just looking at it and trying to figure stuff out,
Right.
but I am really excited about all the patents and the rumors. I'm excited by this concept art. I mean, even if they were just like, oh, it's just a Mario Land, I'd still be incredibly excited.
Same here. Yeah.
But I think it will be more than that. Just really excited for the day when they start working on it, like construction wise, because I'm gonna like vlog from that construction zone every single day in Florida.
Well, you're gonna apply for the Bowser role, right? You're gonna be King Bowser himself.
Oh.
See, you could even talk. You could be one of the rare talking characters.
I'm practicing.
Yeah.
You're Bowser from Super Mario Sunshine. Oh no!
Well, Junior.
Andre, by the way, admitted to me, fellow Game Explain listeners, that he actually loves Super Mario Sunshine. And I think he just needs to finally admit this.
Finally, he
man.
agrees with us. Great.
You're revealing my deepest, darkest secrets now, Josh.
Oh man, Florida would be the perfect place for some Mario Sunshine related T-shirts and stuff.
Well, at least a water area.
Yeah, or something.
Cool
like
down.
just yeah.
You get a flood backpack.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah. I want this place to be... You know what? This is actually happening, by the way. Just
That's
remind
the
yourself
crazy
of that.
thing. It is happening.
This isn't a rumor. This isn't a dream. This is something that is 100%
And we have to
underway.
remind ourselves, Japan is only the start of this.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. What's closer to you, America or Japan, Don?
America. Technically Orlando, because there will be
Right.
an 8-hour flight.
Mm-hmm.
And Japan
Yeah.
would be, I think, 14, and LA 12, 13.
8 hours is a small price to pay.
I would
For
go.
Nintendo
I would
Magic.
go to Orlando for this, absolutely. But I still
Yeah.
want to go to Orlando either way. So
I mean, the flight actually isn't that much shorter for me to go to Orlando, so I'll definitely do it
What is your flight?
5.5 hours, I think. Or actually, I'm sorry. I'm thinking from Seattle still. I think it's a little bit shorter from California, maybe. I don't know. I'm not great with. I haven't looked at a globe to see if I'm closer. Maybe I'm farther. I have no clue. I have no
A
idea.
flight to Orlando for me is like under 2 hours, so it's like by the time I even sit down on the plane, I'm already there. But I will probably be living there because I'm genuinely going to apply to work at this world.
Oh yeah, actually, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, I'm not even joking. I'm 100% going to get a good behind-the-scenes look at it.
Dude, that's right, man. That'd be fantastic. If you somehow got video of that, oh man. But then you'd be fired probably.
Well, we don't want evidence of this,
Nope.
but I can give you some video for games.
I'm already planning my flight for whenever this opens in Japan, my friend.
Yeah. Oh, listen. That day is going to be
Magical.
orgasmic for me because not only, like I said, do I get to go to the Super Nintendo world, but then I also get to go to a Jaws ride. It's going to be like a dream come true. This is the land to be in.
The tricky thing is, like, I want to be there as soon as it opens, but they have soft openings. That means that I'm going to be there before the official opening, right? So
This is true.
I got to show up like a month early. Just got to be ready.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Any final thoughts, or are we done? I feel like we've covered it pretty well, but anything else?
I am pretty excited for this. I'm still really unsure what that Mario Kart ride is, and we won't for a while there now, because we won't likely get any more patents of this. But hope it turns out right in the end. I have some really good hopes for all the rides that they've showcased concept art for, but in general, there's some really good vibes here.
Yeah, I have a bad feeling that we're not going to be getting any more news for a while now.
We won't.
Yeah, so I was
We
gonna ask you.
won't.
I was gonna ask you because Mr. Miyamoto said stay tuned for updates soon. Is this the main update he was referring to, or is this gonna continue on?
Yeah, I think this was the main update.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking too. But maybe not. I mean, there are people out there like who took one look at this. It's like, oh, that's some idea what to expect, but like haven't dived into it like we have. So maybe there is more to this that we'll talk about soon. But I'm kind of thinking this is gonna be it for a while. So what do you think, Josh?
I disagree. I think we will see something maybe in February, March.
I hope you're right. That'd be
'Cause
amazing.
you know what? They're going to have to start building it pretty soon. And if they're going to start building it, I think they will start talking about more of what they're going to be doing.
Hey, did you forget about what was it, King Kong, where you could literally see it and they hadn't even announced it yet?
There was rocks in the shape of King Kong, and they're like, we don't know what it's going to be. Stay tuned. And that was the same thing with the Harry Potter, the second Harry Potter area.
Yeah.
They're like, we don't know what it's like. We can see there's like a castle or like a bank and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that even if they don't want to announce stuff, once they start building it, we're gonna have our, they don't even need to announce stuff to us. We'll just be able to spy on it and see it.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as they start building like any of these structures, we're gonna know exactly how it's laid out. Like, if it matches up with this concept art at all, it'll instantly give us a good idea of how this concept art matches up with the actual terrain.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, I think we covered it. Although I'm sure we'll be back with more discussions. Hopefully soon. I hope they announce more. In the meantime, Josh, where can people find you at?
They can find me at the BitBlock here on YouTube.
How about you, Don?
They can find me on Twitter, which is at Nintendan. That's NANTNDAAN. But I'm on YouTube, which is just the same, but a 1 at the end. Go Nintendo, Nintendo World Report, all that good stuff.
All right, and of course, stay tuned to Game Explained for more on Nintendo World, hopefully, and other things gaming as well. I'm pretty sure I called it Nintendo Land a bunch of times, but it's Nintendo World. Nintendo Land, I don't know, and thinking about more, it kind of flows off the tongue a little bit more naturally, but I like Nintendo World too.
Also because of the game.
That probably is it. Plus, I use that music all the time in our videos, so. And that,
Oh, man.
and that's how we're closing.
I hope Monita is not in this world at all.
Oh, man. Yeah, I agree. No Manita. All right, we're out. Bye.